Hello everyone, Wicked Modeler 3D here. Today we're going to be showing you a modeling tutorial on how to model a CE level using 3D Studio Max. So relatively the software is very similar to Blender, but in this case it's going to be quite different compared to Blender. So basically how you model stuff is going to be slightly different, but relatively I'll do my best to show you how it's done in 3D Studio Max. So the stuff you're going to need is pretty much like how you see it in the Blender videos, or if you need a refresher or to see the Blender videos to give you a good idea what you're going to need, I would recommend watching that up in the cards up above, or I will link into the descriptions for you to see. But I'll quickly give you a glimpse. So you're going to need a Soyos, which basically is a graphical GUI for these tools. You can easily configure to your liking and stuff. You can easily do it through here, so that's what you're going to need. This makes stuff a whole lot easier. I know some old folks wanted to do it the old way, but this is such a better way of doing it, and it speeds the process up much faster. So I highly recommend and for you to download this application. So relatively on the GitHub, it will tell you how to install it, and if you need questions, you can go on the Halo Modding Reclaimers to ask your question how to set this up. So that's a Soyos. Now you can use what's called scripts in Max. So if you go to scripting and then run script, you can download Bluestreak scripts in here if you really wanted to export your JMSs this way. Or you can do it through the FBX pipeline, which is meant for this kind of stuff, like from Maya and 3D Studio Max. So if you open the CMD and type in tool, we can definitely see that there is an option where you can export, or you can import your FBXs to JMS, which will convert it to a JMS, and you can import it through the Halo engine using that JMS file that you converted from. So I don't know how to do it quite in Soyos, but I'm gonna try. I think it's this button right here, and we'll convert it. Now, we'll get to that in a later part, but Soyos makes things a lot easier, so you're gonna need it eventually for this tutorial. So, with that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and get starting with our modeling here. So we're gonna go ahead and Alt W this, or hit this plus button. And we're going to go to maximize our viewport. And then through here, we're going to make our box object. So we're going to hold control for this and then move this up. And we're going to hit F4 so we can see our edges to this. And we're going to go ahead and go to our modify panel. We're going to do edit poly, or convert editable poly through here. If you, either or it works. You can go through the modifier list to see where it's at. So you can easily click on that and it will apply the modifier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do this like that. And then just make sure you have the scale uniform gizmo while you're at it. So once we have done that, then it should be good here. So roughly like this should be fine. I would extend it a little higher like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do Control A, and in the command panel we're going to hit flip. And then what we're going to do with this is we're going to go to our object properties, and then we're going to do backface cull, hit OK. And through here we're going to go ahead and add our materials to our scene. So we're going to tap M, and by default it will pop this up, but you can switch this to the material editor preferably. You can do it if you really want, so we're going to go ahead and do Slate Material Editor for the simplicity. So it's really easy, so we're going to go ahead and add a multi-sub object, so you can click and drag, and then we're going to go ahead and click and drag a couple of physical materials, so you can move them however you want. Hey guys, it's Future Me here. I wanted to tell you guys, since during my recording of that tutorial, I was going to show you that sometimes when you import the scale model from the tutorial level, it sometimes can screw up the textures. So a quick tidbit on setting up textures is making sure that you're in object mode. So I'm going to minimize this. So let's say if I have this like base selected, pretty much you would just get out of, like, if you're in edible poly or whatever, you want to make sure you don't have any of these enabled or any of these selection modes active while you do this. And then what you do is you essentially here, I'm going to quickly plug these in. I should have done this earlier, but in this instance you can just plug these in, and I would give these names and whatnot. So for instance, here, hold on a second. So for instance, if we're going to apply the materials into the sub object that we have already created, what you would make sure is you make sure you select it with this, and you don't have any of these on, obviously, in terms of like sub selections. What you do is you have that selected, right click on it, and assign material to selection. It will properly do that, so then that way you can easily select your materials. So for this demonstration here, we can go to here, and I can show you that when we go down to the polygon material IDs, they would have their proper textures in this multi-sub object. So just for clarification, just in case if you guys get confused. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video, and we'll get to this stuff that you see now later in part 2. So we're going to name one of these plus sky for this. We're going to do that, click one of this, and then name it to this name. And then we're going to call this example underscore tutorial underscore ground. And for our sky, we can change the color. So we're going to make it like a skylight color, like that. And for our ground, we're going to add our bitmap. So through here, we're going to use a bitmap here, so we can search it through here. It's going to be maps general and then bitmap, and then we're going to hit OK. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to your Halo Mod Tools folder, so your HCK folder, and then you're going to go through your data levels, test, tutorial, and then the bitmaps. It should have the stock bitmaps for the tutorial map. So we're going to go ahead and open that. And then we're going to go ahead and plug this into the second. And then for the sky, we're going to put it to the first. And we can go ahead and name these so we know what we're going to be applying to our materials. So basically, when we apply this stuff in polygon mode, we're going to be you're going to be easily seeing what the name is. So it's not going to look at the, it's not going to show you the material name we put on it, but it's going to show you the name of roughly what that material is that you named it to be in these boxes. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and minimize this real quick. And then we're going to hit 4 to make sure we're in polygon select. Control A. And then we're going to go back to our material editor. So we're going to go ahead and we're pretty much going to apply this. So we're going to go left click on this and then right click, assign material to a selection. And we should go back out here. And we're going to click our sky faces together. And we're going to go down here. And if it doesn't show this at all, sometimes it doesn't work. There could be some type of issue with the material stuff. I'm not sure why it does that, but if you're having troubles with this, what I recommend doing is I recommend you going to the material itself and then right-clicking it and assigning to it that way. So then that way you can easily get it together. So we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to do the same thing here as well. So we're going to do it here for the bottom faces. I keep doing that for some reason. So you can see that these are properly set up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and tessellate the ground. So we're going to go for this button, tessellate, when you're in your polygon selection mode. Hit that 4 times is for good measure. And then we're going to go ahead and select these really quickly. So you hit Q to not have that. And we're going to go ahead and select this roughly for where we want it to be. Okay. So we got that. So as long as it's selected like that, we're going to move this up ever so slightly upward. We may need to adjust it, so we're going to go ahead and hit 2 again and to go to object selection mode. And then we're going to go ahead and widen this a little bit. And maybe make this slightly bigger. And we're going to go ahead and add some simple topography. So we're going to go ahead to our soft selection through here. Hit that check mark. Adjust our fall off. And hit W for that. We don't want it to be too big, but something like this would work. And we're going to do the same thing with our hill here. We're going to do the same thing. You can pretty much adjust it however you want. So you can move it upwards like this, and you should have no problems there. So as long as you don't see weird funky lines, you should be good. As long as it looks something like this, that's what matters the most. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure we are going to go ahead and put this down slightly like that. It can be a little funky on how this is done, so I don't think there's really that much to worry about or consider. So we're going to go ahead and move this up again like this. So we're essentially making a rough version of it. So something like this would work. It's not going to look pretty, but at least this is going to be some sort of idea of how this stuff is going to be done. So we're going to click off of this, and then we're going to select the water and then tessellate it once like that. And then we're going to select diagonally roughly in the center of the stream. So relatively simple stuff, as long as you get it right. So we're going to move this down like that. We don't want it to be too deep, but something like this would work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the mountains as well, or like the little hills for this particular instance. So we're going to go ahead and use soft selection, and we're going to increase our fall off a little bit. So like this would work. Make it a little taller here, little decline here. Just very trivial stuff on how you make like hills and stuff. Very relatively simple stuff. So once you get this concept down, this should be relatively easy. So we got our hills here. Now what we're going to do is add our bases together. So what we need to do is we need to add a box object here. And we're going to move this up like that. Now, what I recommend doing, if you are going down the route of importing a scale model, you can easily do that. So we're going to go ahead and merge that in. So we're going to go ahead and import and then merge. And then in here, we're going to go to our mod tools folder. And then we're going to look for a file called tutorial max. And then this screenshot would look like this. So that's what we're going to open. And then here, we're going to go ahead and select our scale model, which is this. So we're going to hit OK again. It's just a warning message. And then we're going to look out here a little bit, and you'll find him next to your scene object, which is reflective of what you'll see normally. If he's too small for the scene, you can easily just adjust it and go from there. So in this case, we will adjust the scene part of it. So I'd say roughly this is accurate, so we may want to go a little higher than that, but not too big. I'd say something like this is comparable. So we're going to go ahead and move him right here, and then move our cube here, and we're going to go ahead and scale this again. So we want to scale this again, and we can do Alt-W, and then go to our front view here, or we can go to our left view. My apologies. We're going to go ahead and make this a little taller. So we're going to go ahead and do an edit poly, move this up like this so he has enough space. And we also want to adjust it to the left and right sides. So we are going to do our scale gizmo. And then right here, we're going to hold left click, and then we're going to release it on here. And we're going to make it a little bit wider like that. And we want to give him a little height. Not something that's too tall, but a little high for his helmet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just do the gizmo thing, center it, and we're going to do the scale gizmo. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold shift and then left click. So we're going to hold shift and then drag left click. And it'll look like that, which would look like this. And we're going to extrude this face out like that. And then, actually, this shouldn't go too far. Yeah, let's go a little further. No, I don't think it needs to be that far. But as long as it's something like this, this is what you should be most concerned about. So we're going to go ahead and target weld these by clicking this button and then holding left click and then dragging down like that. Or you can do Alt Q so you can see the object much easier. So now we're going to go ahead and make our doors for this. So we're going to inset through here. We're going to adjust it like that. And then we're going to remove these bottom faces as well as the bottom face right here on both sides. So we're going to tap delete, the delete key on our keyboard. And then we're going to move these down. Now, make sure you have your snaps on. So tapping S and then right clicking on the 3 with the magnet. And make sure exclusively vertex is on. And we're going to go ahead and snap it to this corner piece here. And both of these should be flush. So we're good here. And we're going to do the same thing with here. And we're going to scale our top frame like this. We probably want it to be a little closer. And we also want to scale this a little bit so we can account for the door or ladders, which we want. So we can see here it's kind of being a little finicky here. Something like this would work. And he's just a tad smaller for this, and we may want to adjust this. So we're going to go ahead and adjust the face up here a little bit. Just we're essentially fine-tuning it. So we're fine-tuning it, making adjustments here. Because you want it to be where he has enough room, because it's very important that you do that, because if you don't, it's you're not going to be able to enter right into the door. So, as you can see, he has plenty of room through here. We may want to put this a little higher. I know our thing is a little weird. That's okay. We're going to extend it out a little bit like this. And if it's too big, we'll just scale it. So we're going to scale it again. And we're going to do this part. Yeah, so we're going to just move it through here. And, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and select both of these faces, bridge these edges here, or these faces. And don't worry if the floor is flickering. That's because it's close to the ground, so it's pretty obvious. So I wouldn't sweat it too much. So, it's no biggie. We probably want to make it a little larger through here. We do want to center it right here. Okay, so now we have centered it there. Roughly in the center, should I say. We should be good with this part. Now, we're going to go ahead and make our ladders. So we're going to select both of these, make sure this is center with our scale. And then we're going to move this here, move another one, and then move this one back. Or you can just kind of adjust it like this and then go from there. But I don't think it really matters. We may want to extend it a little far, like this. And then like that. And then extrude a little bit out here. And then we can bridge them like that, which we did. So now another way to making this better is we can add a symmetry modifier to it. So we're going to do Alt Q to isolate everything but the selected object here. And we're going to click on this edge first and then double click on the upper edge. And what this will do is this will do a ring selection. So as long as it selects these 4 edges that we have here, we're going to go ahead and do connect while we're in our edge part of it. And we're going to click this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this half to the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our modifier stack, and we're going to search for the symmetry modifier. So symmetry should be here some. Yep, symmetry. Now we're not going to do the z-axis, obviously. It's going to look really goofy. We're going to do X, and we want to make sure we're going to use our proximity weld. We're going to check that box, and then we're going to go ahead and right click and convert to editable poly, and you get hit 2, and then when this edge is selected, we're going to do control backspace to get rid of the line that we had in the middle. This makes it a lot easier so we can easily put our very identical ladder to this. So once we have done that, we're going to go ahead and cap these parts here. So we're going to cap these top parts. As long as it looks like this, it should be good. So we're going to cap these like that. Now we're going to go ahead and add our teleporter, which is relatively easy. So we're going to do inset. We want to inset it like this and apply a couple more times. And then we're going to remove these those bottom faces like that, and then move these down like this, these vertexes. Okay. We're going to move these down. Okay, we've done that. So now we're going to select this part of this inset, and then we're going to move it out, and then tap S to get rid of that that weird motion we have going here. We're going to do shift and drag. We're going to shift, left click, and drag. We want it to be a little bit into here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit 4 again. And then we're going to hit create through it within here. Tap S. And then do it like this. And then double click to create a quad through here. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do shift and left click. Or control shift left click like that, and we are going to clone it to an object, and then we're going to hit 4 again to get out of the polygon select, and we're going to click on our plane object, Alt Q, and then select these top and bottom faces, and we're going to go ahead and connect, and then 3 segments is all we need, and we're going to kind of do it roughly here. So we're going to move it like this, like that, and then move it slightly over here on this part. So since we've done that, this should be good here. Now we're going to attach it to our base object. Attach it, and our teleporter here, which we've done. And we're going to do the same thing with our ladders. So we're going to select both these quads, and then control shift. And then we're going to clone to element. And we're going to go ahead and make our lights. Actually, before we do that, we're going to make sure this fits our model for our Master Chief. And it does. It works just fine. So we're good there. So you can easily readjust it. So we're going to go ahead and do Control Shift and then down. Oh, that's not what I want. Like that. Now what we're going to do is do Alt W to get out of here. And then we're going to go to our top view. And then we're going to do Alt W here. And then we're going to scale this like this. And then scale it like that here. And pretty much something like this would work. So we want something like this to work. Roughly put it right here. And then what you can do is you could do Control Shift and then do the same thing. And there you go. Clone. Yeah, I think it's clone element or clone to object, whatever. So we're going to do that. Clone to object. And, oh, I forgot. You could just click on top and it'll do that, and then Alt W, and then Alt W over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach our stuff here. So this is a separate object. So we're going to go ahead and attach it to here to make sure that these are all connected. We're going to change this to a different color. So we're going to, for the object color, we're going to change it to a blue. Or well, it doesn't really matter. I recommend to select these lights first and detach them so you can actually see. So it doesn't matter what that is. And these will be a single object. Now we're going to go ahead and adjust our pivot. So affect pivot only, center to object. And we're going to move this up. We do want to see what it looks like. So I'm going to do performance. I might have to do something with performance so I can actually see. Yeah, I'm going to have to do performance so I can actually see it, or I do high quality. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go ahead and mark this blue. I would put it on high quality so you can actually see the plane, because you don't want it to be too close to the ceiling, because otherwise Halo is going to throw a fit with the Z fighting. So you want to make sure this is in the appropriate space for it. So I recommend you do it that way. So this should be close enough. So this should be fine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach it to this object. So we're going to go ahead and do attach and then click on the lights. There you go. Make sure your teleporter is attached and everything, and you should be good for putting this into the level. But before you do that, we're going to go ahead and move this out, or make a duplicate version of it. So we're going to make another object, because just in case if something were to happen, we have a backup. And make sure that you make a save file for our max our max scene file here. So you save, so you pretty much save what you have right now. So if you make a mistake, you can come back to it and don't save what you've already overridden. And for this, we're going to do something a little different that not a lot of people do. And we're going to do it this way. So for this application, we want to make sure we have all of our creation selections. But we're going to go ahead and make a material based on that. But in this case, I don't think it's really necessary, because it really doesn't make a difference. So we're going to just do it this way. So we're going to just hit 3 for border select. And what I typically do is I hit F3 to make sure, and then Alt-Q to isolate everything except for the selected object. And as long as everything looks like this, that doesn't include the ladders and doesn't include the teleporter, except for the line that you see here. As long as it looks like that, you're going to extrude downwards on the Z-axis, like completely straight on the Z-axis. So you do it from there. And then what you do is, once you're done doing that, we're going to go ahead and move this down slightly. We have positioned where we want it to be. So we're going to go ahead and move this down. And just like this would work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our level object here. And we are going to make a Boolean modifier. So we're going to put the modifier in. And then make sure this is set to union, add operands, and select the base. Now it's unioned with the level object. So we're going to go ahead and convert this to an editable poly. So go back to your modify panel, right click, convert to editable poly. And then here, if you really want to, since this is the sky material, you can literally just select the material here. So you can just select the ID and it will pop up as this. Oh, that's not good. I don't know why I did that. Now, if it looks like that, you could just do Control Backspace to get rid of that. I don't know why that's there on the sky face. If that does happen to you, but obviously. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select by ID. So we're going to go to Polygon Select and select ID. And then what you're going to do is you're going to deselect and hit Q so you don't accidentally move something. And you can just do it this way. And then what you can do is you can literally just select half of it, like of this object that's going to be union together, like that. And what you can do is you can hold Alt and then left and click and hold left click and drag, and it'll easily select those right there. So it will select those bottom faces that don't need to be in the bottom of the level. So we're going to delete that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing except for the top. I really should have done it before, but whatever. But this saves us a whole lot of heck of time having to do all this. So we're going to just do it this way. So, yep. So we make sure we've deselected everything on the top. Make sure we deselected our floor. And then delete. And we're going to go ahead and delete our bottom face here. So we're going to go ahead and temporarily disable our back face culling. So we're going to go to Object Properties, disable this real quick. And we're going to delete the outline of this. So we're going to delete this. Make sure you include every bit of it that's inside of here, and then delete. And there you go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do backface cull again. So we got that going for that. You may want to flip the normals on this. I don't know if I've already done that, but a good way to check is to make sure you have your X view on, and it should show you the correct part of it. I'm not sure which one it was. Face orientation. So anything that's yellow outside is what's going to be here. So we're going to go ahead and flip it. So we're going to hit 4, Control A, and then we're going to flip it. And then everything inside of here is going to be yellow. So if I flip it back to backface cull, we'll definitely see that that will look like that. But obviously, that's just another way to make sure everything is in the right direction and so on. So we're going to go ahead and go back into here. I don't know why it's not doing it all of a sudden. Huh. Really interesting. Oh, yeah, because I'm dumb. I forgot to do it the other way. If it doesn't do that, just completely disregard that. If it looks like this, don't worry about it. But anyway, I set it up correctly. I just was being a dum-dum there. So we're going to select our IDs, and then we're going to do the same thing here. Get rid of all this stuff right here. And we can move this object down. So we're going to go ahead and adjust our pivot. So we can't adjust our pivot, obviously, so we're going to go ahead and detach this again. And then 4, and then 4 on this object again. And then we're going to go ahead and adjust our pivot. So we're going to do Effect Pivot Only, Center Object. And then move it on the Z-axis, snap it to the corners of the structure. What I typically do is I put it like somewhere in the hallway. So I do something like this. It doesn't really matter where you put it, but as long as it's flush to the ground of the base, the floor specifically, you should be good to go. So now we're going to go ahead and move this down. And you'll see that it's not perfect, but we'll fix that, obviously. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of... sorry, actually I need to attach this. So I'm going to attach it here. And then we're going to hit 1 for vertex, or select that. Control A. And then what we're going to do is we are going to weld it. So we're going to hit this little box right here. Make sure the after number is different from the before, so we can tell that has merged these. Now we have some problematic geometry. I shouldn't have gone a little too far with the fancy stuff, but we'll fix that. So we're going to go ahead and target weld right here. So we're going to click this button right here, and then hold left click on this top one, and then drag it down to the bottom. and this will go with the object. It will connect to the object properly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to dissolve this edge since it's technically useless. So now we're going to go ahead and make sure we manually connect this. So you can connect these manually if you want. So the reason why I do control backspace for these is so I can easily not screw up the texture, but also making our geometry better, so that way we don't have any issues. One way to check the error geometry is you can go to open edges and you can see the highlighted edges. So if I fix this corner here, which doesn't connect to that obviously, so if I show you, it's not connected. So we can easily just do control backspace and we'll get rid of that, and then you connect it to another. So then that way it makes it a lot easier to model. So it's not, you know, a mess of cleaning up really crappy geometry that's not connected. So this is the old school way of doing it. So we're pretty much doing it like that for the time being. So we're going to just connect that here. I think we're good here. Another way you can look at it is you can turn on wireframes so you can easily see it. It's similar to how I do it in Blender, but except it's welding and target welding, and basically it's like merge at last. But anyway, that's not the purpose of this tutorial. So we're going to go here and, oh, I don't know why that did that there. That's a bit weird. So we can see that we have an open hole in our thing here. I forgot that was there. I think I accidentally deleted it. But you can fix that. So we're going to go ahead and add a primitive here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide this. So we're going to go ahead and hide this here. So what you can do is when you have all these, you can hide these. I don't know what the button is here to hide. Oh yeah, hide selected. So you can do that. And then what you can do is you can hit 4. And if you accidentally deleted this space, I accidentally deleted it, you can easily get it back. So you hit 4 and then you find the create button here. So tap that once and then make sure your snapping's on. And then what you do is you click right here and then double click when you're done with that last vertice to make a shape. And we have effectively done that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to unhide all to get our teleporter thing back. And once we have fixed our geometry issues, we should be good to go from that period on. Now, I wouldn't be worried too much on connecting them like triangles manually. We'll basically do the process of not having to do that later. But for now, for this tutorial, we're pretty much just showing you how to make the bases connect with the geometry and everything that's sealed, you know, together, pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. As long as you don't see any yellow edges around the bounds of the wall of the structure, you should be pretty good to go. I forgot one here, so I'm going to quickly fix that, and we're going to go ahead and end it off with this video. So this is part 1 of this video. I will continue to do it in the next part of this video. I'll get into how do you add the water and stuff, and I'm going to add the other base. So it's the same way of doing it over here. You just copy and paste it over here and then put it in over here, similar to how I did it with this base over here. So we'll get to texturing, getting into water, and importing into the game in the next part. So if you guys have any questions, I would be happy to answer them down below in the comments section. Leave a comment. I would greatly appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up. This will help push it to the algorithm to help new coming modders with how you make levels and stuff, which I will come out when I do have the time to do so. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you want more of this, please subscribe. I will definitely appreciate it, as well as you liking my videos. Alrighty, this is Wicked Modeler 3D signing out. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.